What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and this week I'm joined by Chris Abacon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Ryan. Yourself?
I can't complain. So for the next 2 weeks, I'll have Chris on. So that'll be 8 episodes with Chris. So get to know his face. Check us out on audio and video. We like when you double dip, so do that. Definitely hit up the YouTube channel. So I'm trying to grow out that user base, right, where you have a couple hundred people. But I have over 416 videos. So that's like, I don't even know how many hours of content that is. There's so much content on the YouTube channel, so definitely go check that out. You can see our smiling faces. It goes back from almost the beginning of the podcast until now, right? So that means I have over 420 episodes out there somewhere. Huh? I gotta do the math. I gotta figure out where those episodes are at. So definitely check us out.
Totally. Yeah.
I can't figure it out because it's variable, right? So it has to be at least 1,000 hours out there of content.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to somebody. Actually, I was talking to Jay Sanders, so he'll be on the Ask a CISSP not this week but next week, and he was like, "There's so many gems in there. You have to go through the archive and you have to start to find some of that content and then repurpose it." And he's absolutely right. I don't feel like it. But I have to, because I feel like I'm wasting so much content, right? There's videos out there that may have only gotten a handful of views that has like some really good stuff in there I need to push back out, just maybe it more consumable, right? As opposed to an hour and a half, I push it out 4 minutes. This is 4 minutes of wisdom. Here you go. So I have to go do it. It has to happen. I have to invest in myself and make it happen. But I say all that to say, let's discuss what we're going to talk about today, right? So this is the Friday episode. This is Chris' first Friday episode. Shannon is on vacation. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. Because this is Chris's first Friday episode, I want him to do a quick introduction of himself, his cybersecurity origin story, and then what he currently does. And then we're going to pivot, because I know Friday's episode is supposed to be non-cyber related. We're going to pivot from that into movies, books, games. We're going to find out more about Chris and his hobbies, all that good stuff, all within 35 to 45 minutes. That is the target, right? So
like it.
With that being said, Chris, give us a little bit of your background, right? Who you are, where you're from, how'd you get into cyber, and what you currently do.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Chris Abacon. I'm a Navy veteran. I have over 10 years of experience in IT. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota area. Graduated from the University of Minnesota with an undergrad in economics. But my first job in the Navy was actually, I was an IT, so information systems technician, right? But my first job in the Navy was actually a C&D blue teamer. So I was a blue team analyst. So immediately I had to learn, get into weeds of Linux. I had to learn, several scanning tools, USB detect, right? So I worked on the analysis side of the house. So really that's a lot of it was just luck, right? I was actually supposed to go to a PC, a patrol coastal ship, right, somewhere in the Middle East, in Bahrain. But before I got orders to this place, it's called Navy Information Operations Command in Norfolk. I was actually on leave when I found out, hey, you're actually going to this command. So it kind of all worked out for me because I got into the cybersecurity field from the get-go. So I consider myself blessed in having that. But after my short stint there, I actually worked at a joint communication support element, JCSC. I was there with Brian, actually. We were in the schoolhouse together and really definitely grew a lot there. We worked in tactical communications, got to learn a lot of the operations side of the house. So I'm coming from the analysis side from my first place. And then now we're on the operations side, the more networking engineering side, to where we're more of in the communicator role, right? So I worked there for the engineering, we did the tactical communitions for a bit, and ended up the last gig there was a operations planner. So that was also less position because there's a lot of me getting into the business processes, me getting into the planning and project management of actual IT. So that was an amazing experience. And then from there, became an IT manager over at the 4th Fleet over in Jacksonville. And there's where I really got deep into the cybersecurity field through something called the risk management framework. So we have a process that we go through to accredit networks. So programs of record or networks within commands, right? That basically says, hey, Navy will say, can you be on this network? Can you be on our information systems or not, right? So my experience there in seeing the big picture, big Navy really helped me get to where I am today, right? So I'm really thankful for everything that's led me to where I am today. So I've transitioned out of the military. So now I work as a cybersecurity consultant. And that's why I'm here today, right? So being able to provide my fountain of wisdom, right?
Right.
But yeah, I'm excited to be on the podcast. I'm just excited to be here. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate you having me here.
Oh, no worries, man. Like you definitely fit all the things I look for in a co-host. So I was like, in the past, right? Because we do have over 400 episodes, so we're very consistent. But if either Shannon or myself had something going on, like a vacation or what have you, we just would gap that week. And this is we're now in season 2, right? We have over 400 episodes, and I was like, I don't want to gap this one. Especially not for 2 weeks. I hate doing it solo. People have experienced the solo, Ryan. I need to edit those videos better.
Yeah.
Lots of uhs and ums as I'm talking to the vacuum. I experienced the same thing when I was teaching as an adjunct. If the students come off their cameras, it is weird. It feels like I'm just talking into a void, and I need someone to bounce things off of. Like, I think it just makes for a better episode. So I was like, I don't want to do a solo one, and I was like, I don't want to gap it. So I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hit up Chris. I'm gonna see if he has the time, because obviously there's a big time commitment, but also if he's even interested. Like, I've hit people up sparingly in the past, because you see Aisha on here a lot. You saw Miguel on here. We've had Chelsea Pierre. I forgot to mention her in the previous labor market topic. Like, she is training, she is education, she is also helping people to start their own businesses, right? So we have all these people I can always get back on the show, but not in 2 days notice. So it's like, hey Chris, what are you doing this weekend? And it's just serendipitous, just like me knowing Chris, right? So I've known you for about 8 years now, I want to say.
Yeah, so 2015.
15, yep.
That's October or like November, I think. Yeah, that's when I met you. You were in the schoolhouse together, and I remember I remember when you first got there, I was like, hey, sir, right? Was it the Army? The instructor was like, don't call me sir, I work for a living. And I
was Sergeant Baker.
Sergeant Baker,
Sergeant Baker,
yeah, I remember that. And I remember that interaction. I was like, man, that was weird to watch.
Yeah, so thank you for reminding me. I forgot that joint experience was weird. Because so I still do it. I have to get out of doing it as well in the civilian sector, but everybody's sir, ma'am, right? Until you prove otherwise, or you tell me otherwise. But yeah, my interactions with the Army for the first time, weird.
Weird, right? Yeah,
but I get it. That's their culture, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. So we went through what's called JSAT-C, right? It's making you an all-around communicator. It's 16 weeks. Like, we all arrived. We're all different services, right? We had Navy, Army, Marines, and Air Force. No coasties. But now I think they have Guardians in there as well. So like, they're almost still, they're full joint still. But it's called the Joint Communication Support Element, JCSE. They're down here in Tampa. They are the voice heard around the world, right? So comm guys for hire, basically. If you need something, whether you be a 3-letter agency or Department of Defense, Joint Chiefs of Staff, your operators of various calibers, you come to us. We throw people out of planes. We have people in water. Like, we're full spectrum communicators. I loved it. That is where I started to pivot into cybersecurity myself. This episode's not about me, but just to remind everybody, so my background being IT engineering, right? So I'm a network guy by trade, and then I pivoted into cyber around the same time. Chris was. I almost called you Abacon.
Yeah.
Got to get used to first names out here.
Yeah, right.
And we've kept up with each other ever since. I think I was there for 5 years. You were there for 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah,
Yeah, 4 years.
extended that
Uh,
1 year.
yep. And then, always kept up with Chris while I was in Turkey. He was in Portsmouth
Jacksonville.
and then Jacksonville, right? Were
Yeah,
you at Portsmouth at any point?
no. I was in Norfolk
Okay.
before I was at Tampa, but
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
right after Tampa, I went to Jacksonville.
Gotcha. And then just serendipitous, right? Like he decided that he was ready to transition out of the Navy. We were both in the Tampa area, and now we work for the same company. So that's pretty cool. Like
Love it.
you never know. Like military always has. You always make
Right.
lifelong friends in the military. It's crazy.
No doubt.
I definitely. Big ups to the military in general. But it just keeps coming around, right? Like I just keep running into people I've met before, and I'm just like, hey, that's crazy. We're all out here now
That's
doing this
great.
thing.
Like I
Yeah,
said, it's thankful to everything that's led me to this point. I mean, it's just been a wild ride, and I'm just like excited for what the future holds, specifically with like this podcast and all the things we just discussed, right? AI, the labor workforce. I mean, there's just a lot of good stuff and a lot of potential out there. And I think at least with our community, we're recognizing that potential.
yeah,
And I think it's, as leaders, we're gonna have to, start catering, like helping mentor, prospective professionals in this field.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
I'm just excited to be part of that process.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the reason for the platform, right? So to highlight and showcase people of color and to grow the field, and basically, hey, we made it, or hey, we know people who made it, right? So like I have like those people who are like doing humongous things out there that will pop in and do a Thursday episode with me. It's amazing. I feel blessed. I'm so thankful for the inspiration, right? Because I don't believe it was something that I was planning on doing. Is just something that like I kind of fell into. I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to retire from the Air Force. And the DoD is a melting pot. The civilian sector, not so much. I need to start networking and making
Right.
connections, right? And then I just fell into it like I can help, right? So again, the platform's not it's not humongous. Like we're trying to get there. So definitely like, share, subscribe. I'll fit it in there. Share with your nerdy friends, all that good stuff to help grow the platform. But we're hoping that we can just help in the field, right? Because there's as the previous article we talked about, there's 700,000 projected vacancies here in the US alone. That could be so much growth for our community, right? There's a job for you. You just have to figure out how to get there, and we have to help the field as well understand that if you're looking for potential, it's there. If you're looking for a CISSP with 5 years of experience, that's not there. Right, per se. Like you're asking for the wrong things. We need to make sure that they're asking the right questions, looking for the right people, because the potential is there. You're kneecapping them at the ATS system, which is unfortunate. So with that being said, everything else, right? So we know your background, we know you're going to be here for the next couple of weeks, and you'll pop in from time to time as well if I can
Oh,
get
for
you.
sure.
If I can book you, like
Yeah,
you're
for
blowing
sure.
up, you're getting busy out
Yeah,
there.
I like it. It's talent. I mean, it also helps me, well, one, really get comfortable with this platform, right? Being able to speak, to a screen by speaking in front of a group of people, right? I mean, you alluded to previously where it's like it's so difficult to talk to when it seems like you're just talking by yourself with no feedback, right? And that's to me, that's why I love the in-person meetings where you can see, hey, how does somebody looking at you? How's somebody's body language, right?
Right,
You
those
miss out on
nonverbals.
all of those. You miss out on all those cues that you don't really think about until you're put in a position like, hey, you're presenting these slides, but guess what? Oh crap! I made all my entire screen's my slides, and I can't see the audience. It's like, oh crap! Now I'm just reading, right? Versus hey, getting on gallery view and doing it like that. So there's little ways that you can figure out how to make things easier for you. It's all different. It's all relative and based on the preferences of whoever's presenting or on the person. But yeah, there's just me getting a little bit of practice on this, or just getting myself out there. I really want to, again, I just want to say thanks for the invite and the opportunity to be here.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Like again, like everybody who starts by the show, they bring a wealth of knowledge and wisdom and just things that are unique to themselves and potential paths to get people into the field, right? So I love having guests on the show. And again, I just don't like talking by myself. That's not my favorite thing, right? Because then when I listen to the episode, it's like, yeah.
Too many
But
and no, yeah.
yeah,
No,
and those are all natural in speech, right? But it's something about just you by yourself. It just makes every longer. It's like
yeah. I'm always so
um
jealous of people that can talk without breaks or ums, right? It's
so
just
we witnessed
like,
that. So again, like we know a lot of people from JCSC. So you have
oh yeah,
Jeff Lodick is
oh my God,
one of my mentors, right?
amazing.
Like he helped me like get the podcast rolling and stuff like that because he's a podcast host as well as an author and things of that nature. But he's also a public speaker. And man, I was jealous. Like we went to the PMI Tampa
Yeah,
chapter where he spoke, not an or an
right. And
for an
the
hour.
an hour.
How?
But the most amazing part is that he kept all of us engaged with techniques that we didn't even think about, right? Like at
Yeah.
the very end of it, he was like, hey, if you got everybody standing up, clapping for you, it doesn't really matter what you said previously or something to that effect. And I was
Yeah.
just stunned, like, man, this is amazing. I'm not going to forget that. And Jeff, if you're listening to me, you're a bomb. And yeah, really appreciate that. That was great. Like, again, just need a little bit of practice and really refining your craft. And then
Yeah.
what's gonna be hard for me is, hey, I'm gonna go back to YouTube and watch myself talking, and I'm gonna have to self-critique, right? It's a little,
Oof.
oh,
Yes, it is.
that's the most difficult part too, and it's listening to yourself, which is, and nobody likes the sound of their own voice. So I'm definitely gonna have to come up with either better microphone system or something to give myself a little bit more bass, so sound more manly,
Right,
yeah.
right. Tell everybody turn your bass up.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. So what everybody's here for, right? So this episode's movies, books, games, TV shows, all that good stuff. So with that being said, how was your week? What did you do, outside of work? And what did you do over the weekend, right?
Right. So actually, what I did over the week, actually, I am studying for my CISSP exam. So I'm knocking out a lot.
Oof.
Yeah, I'm not much of a reader. I tried, I read parts of the book of the official study guide where I look at, gaps in my knowledge. I'll go over like
Yeah.
Zigbee, right? Like what the heck is Zigbee? Because I saw it on a practice exam and I had to go back in there and look what it was. It turns out it's a secure Bluetooth, protocol or mechanism, right? So I've been studying probably 2 or 3 hours a day, just going over practice questions, watching YouTube videos. And I'm very much a visual and oral learner, right? It's difficult for me to put down and just put myself, in a position where I'm just reading unless there's nothing around me completely. And that's the only thing I can do. And I think that's the only way I could actually, put myself in reading a book. But I'm like, but there's so many ways to just learn nowadays with all these methods and, ways of absorbing information and taking in content. Me, I like videos. And I enjoy taking practice tests. So I've been doing a lot of practice tests. I'm actually up right here. There it is. You can see that.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I try to knock out, and understand, right? Not just like going over and memorizing the questions. It's like understanding the questions and why CISSP 2, right, writes a question like this. So understanding the methodology of an exam, I think that's what's going to help me out. For fun, right?
Right. Say, yeah.
For fun, I actually do it, and I still I'm a big runner, right? So I enjoy exercise. I wasn't running as much as in my JCSC days, right?
Yeah, running down Bayshore. So if anyone's listening to this, right? So we live in the greater Tampa area. So Bayshore is the longest
continuous
sidewalk. Right? Yeah, longest sidewalk in the contiguous states. Is that the way it is? I don't know. The thing's like 10 miles long. It's like 10 miles of beachfront. Like people who live there are multimillionaires.
I think it's closer to like 4.5. I'm not sure, but from like was it?
Ballast from back and forth. Yeah.
Ballast Point Park to downtown Tampa, right? You don't what is it? There's no stoplights or anything actually until you get to the convention center area, right? That little bridge.
Yeah,
but you can go there. entire way without ever having to, cross the street, which is really the appeal for that road. And I think you're going to look at the fact that you'll see these military guys with boots and, big backpack trucks,
Yeah.
right
And then
now.
the beautiful people where you're just like, where do you work at? Like, how do you afford to be over here?
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, it was always great because you see the same people, right? What was it? Was it Friday mornings? Friday mornings, whatever. It might be a run or it might be a ruck or, ruck march is when you, when you put put a heavy backpack on and just.
It's how you get your disability.
Right.
That's the key to disability is ruck.
Rucking. Yeah.
Ruck is the answer. Like my knees still hurt. Like, why do you do that?
You want disability. So
I never rucked after. I never had to ruck after. Like I rucked and then I broke myself. It's like, why?
I remember those first blisters. I was like, oh my goodness. Because apparently there's techniques. You're supposed to wear a specific type of socks and make sure you're using foot powder or, just things that keep you dry, right? There's a lot of these ways, of course, being in an joint environment, meaning multiple services, right? Me being Navy, that was the first time I ever put it on a rock when I went to a joint command, right? So it was definitely a blast. But yeah, what was I talking about? Running, right? So we used to run a lot. I used to run a lot down Bayshore. So I do still run and do a lot of exercise. So I do work full-time remote now, but my wife and I actually, we started doing some of the Apple fitness workouts, right? So we pay for the family, was it Apple One, right? So everybody, I think it's like 5 family members to include yourself which has we get Apple News, you'll get Apple Music, Apple Arcade, Apple TV, right? So Apple TV on 5 instances, which is nice. And then there's Apple Fitness. So I was like, man, we're talking and it's like, let me give this Apple Fitness a try, right? So we don't have any weights inside the place, right? So we wanted to do some type of body weight exercises. We went through a 40-minute HIIT training, which was a lot of it was plyometrics. And I'm very impressed with Apple Fitness. It's actually a pretty legit and fantastic way to get in shape or maintain shape. So we did that a few times this week. And then this week I've been looking forward to seeing Oppenheimer, right? So I want to go see that in IMAX, and that's going to be super exciting. Hopefully, next time I'm on here, I'll be reviewing it spoiler free, or maybe Ryan can watch it as well. But it was, I'm pretty excited. Anything Christopher Nolan puts out, it's usually
So first off, good luck to you and your vision. If you're going to the IMAX to watch the Barbie drop, you're
actually
corneas, scarred corneas. But thing number 2 is I probably will not go see it in theaters. I do want the experience, but it's too long. That's too long, and I get it. It's
3 hours.
I need the ability to watch it in my own home where I can hit pause, like go to the bathroom, or I can pick it up the next day, like the Justice League Snyder cut. Like that was perfect. It was in my house. I watched over 2 days. So I'll probably do the same thing for Oppenheimer.
Like the Lord of the Rings extended editions. Just like, hey, I can't watch it one way. It's way too dang long.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to miss out on the IMAX experience. So I am jealous. But that's just too long. I just can't sit in that seat. And I don't know, maybe at this theater I could. We go to the B&B theater. I don't know if you've been to one of those. It's it's like the 3rd largest chain or something like that, but they have like the reclining seats that heat up and stuff like that. So maybe, but
I think so. For once the way I see it, right? It's only gonna be an IMAX for so long. So I want to experience this movie to its fullest, right? I didn't get to see what was it? Not Interstellar, but it was the Tenet. I didn't get to see Tenet at IMAX, and I wish I did because I loved that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like Interstellar, right? IMAX, incredible, right? So it's just once in a lifetime. I'm not going to get the opportunity, and whenever Oppenheimer goes straight to streaming in like a few months, I'm not sure, right? It's been different depending on the movie, but I mean, some movies have been streaming it after 2 months in theaters, right? Which is just crazy to think about, right? So the incentive to even go to the movie theaters, knowing that it's going to be on streaming. There's not a lot of it unless you have stuff like this where, hey, you're not going to be able to experience the sound, the sights.
Right. It's an event. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an event, right? It's an event, and that's how I treat Nolan movies. So I'm just excited to see it. I'm super pumped to see it. And I did have to plan like 2 weeks in advance because like it is a time commitment, right?
Right, exactly. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I can't wait to hear about your experience. Like, and I will see it. I think I'm going to wait for it to stream. And it, like you said, probably like 3-4 months it'll be on some stream. I don't know if it's going to be HBO because him and HBO are.
HBO is usually the first.
Yeah. It might be P. It may be like who owns this movie? It's not Warner. Is it?
I don't remember.
Universal, maybe? I don't know, but it'll be on one of these various streaming platforms in the next 3 to 4 months. I can't wait to see it. I'm hearing really great things about it, and there's also some backlash because there's some parts are omitted, right? Like I didn't know that his lab area, like where they built his labs, people live there, and they were forced out. So that's a big controversy. Yeah. So like if you look at social media, there's a lot of information that was kind of historically buried about how that all experience, like, and that's not to tarnish or ruin the movie experience, because it's not just because it's not talked about doesn't mean that it's going to make it for a bad movie. However, I think it coming out and then having the history talked about is an awesome on-ramp to learning about eminent domain and how it impacts communities and things of that nature. So I think that's actually good for this movie to come out, for us to find out about how the government was just like, yoink, like all this land, we need this, right? And how it displaced families and it still impacts them to this day. So I would definitely, I'm going to learn more about it because of this movie, which is cool, right? Because that history would still be buried. And it's good. Like if you don't learn from your history, you're doomed to repeat it. So it's good to see things like this pop up. So I think both of those things can exist in the world and it not be a right or left situation, right? Because how the social media is taking it. So go experience the movie. You want to see the movie. Like it's not gonna benefit or harm the people who are already harmed in the domain situation. But now you can go and learn about those people and potentially how you can support them as well. So I think it's a win-win type situation based upon, a lose-lose with the eminent domain and the atomic bomb. You know what I mean? People are forgetting about that. Like, so hopefully the gravity of that's also in this movie, because that'd be interesting. And I think Nolan will do it right. So I'm very interested in seeing it once it's at my crib. So, but you said with running, so I remember you used to run like 10 miles. You still doing that?
Not recently. I haven't been. I mean, I want to run the Gasparilla here next year. I haven't done the half marathon. I did a half marathon last year. So I actually did 2 last year, right? Oof. I was getting back to that peak, fitness, but then I kind of overdid it and I kind of hurt myself and I realized I'm not as young as I used to be. I'm 35 now, but like, I think I don't know, maybe I think the prime of a man's, at least male, endurance, probably like late 20s, early 30s. And I'm like, so my recovery times are less, but yeah, I did 2 early last year. So that was the last time I ran a half marathon, but I ran the Gasparilla, right, since I left Tampa. Right. Okay. So that's going to be exciting. So I ran the Gasparilla since like 2019, actually. Maybe it's 19 or was it 20? Either way, I want to do it again. So I need to build back up. So at least the way that I train for running is that throughout the week, at least the work week, I do, shorter runs, right? Varying from, 2 to 4 miles, depending on if I lift or cross train that day. But what I would usually do is on either Saturday, most likely Sunday mornings, I would do a longer run. So that run would probably maybe a little bit less than half of the total miles run that week. So in my prime, so to speak, I was doing like double-digit runs on double-digit distances on that Sunday. And that's really, you don't want to run all like that all the time, but you want to be able to build up to that 13, 14, whatever miles it is your goals are. But yeah, like I'm excited to get back into it, and back into like serious running. I think the last year has been very just the transition period, right? For me getting out of the military, looking for employment, things of that nature. It's just been less consistent. But now that I found like home base again here in Tampa, finding that level of like comfort, we're settled here now. So definitely get more back into my hobbies. I like photography. Like I've had a Adobe photo subscription for a while, right? So that means I don't know if how everybody here knows how Adobe works, but it's all subscription based. So for you to be able to use their Photoshop or at the higher ends like Creative Cloud or Premiere Pro for video editing, you got to pay monthly, right? So I actually installed it on my MacBook Pro, which is a creator laptop. I actually finally got to start using it once I
the
heard
Retina display and all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I finally got to start using it and actually downloaded the Photoshop beta, which actually has that generative fill, kind of going back to the AI that we were talking about earlier, but it's got that generative fill and started really playing around with that. And it's been a lot of fun. Some of the outputs have been less optimal. Like I have a picture of myself and you can, if you give it the right command or, prompt, I can change, like, let's say if I pick a picture of this frame right now, right? Just like this, and then highlighted my t-shirt area, I can actually have the AI put me in a suit or, something else, or get the background to be completely like me in the beach, right? But it's produced kind of weird results, right? Because it's it's drawing from, the nearly infinite amount of data from the internet, however Adobe has collected data, and it's stitching something up, right? And because it's in beta phase, right, you get to give it a thumbs up, thumbs down every time it's done doing it. So it's a cool thing, and I've been getting into that more recently. And also I'll be traveling next month. Actually, like in a few weeks here, I'll be going to Greece for a wedding, so that's gonna be exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I don't have the creator tools, the gimbals and stuff like that, but that'd be cool to at least maybe explore, making some travel videos, just exploring the artistic side of myself, right? And then, getting that artistic output out there. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing.
Okay, so yeah, I would be interested in watching a Chris Abacon travel vlog.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. And you already have the main tool being a smartphone, right? Because cameras on those things are not bad anymore. Like they're actually pretty impressive.
Definitely. So some of the iPhone capabilities, the newer 14 Pros, they have like cinema mode. I mean, really, if you can frame your videos correctly, and I think the difficulty for me would be like sound, right? I haven't played around with any of that.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like what is it? There's Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere. I think Final Cut Pro is the Apple one. Adobe Premiere is probably what I'll end up using because I'm already in the Adobe ecosystem. But I've read that it's very involved and requires a lot of nuance. It's like learning Excel for the first time or PowerPoint for the first time. It's like something brand new. It's cool to just have that skill in my back pocket. It's just also it's a lot of fun too. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to, because I know you're pretty busy, right? So you're in the midst of your transition, which I am 6 months into my transition. I'm still doing transition stuff, right? Like doesn't let up for probably the first year. But so I know you're in the midst of your transition, right? You're settling into your new home because you're back down here in the greater Tampa area. You started a new career, right? So you're doing all that. You got to see Oppenheimer. That's a quarter of your life right there.
Yeah,
that you got to spend in that chair.
I love it.
Any gaming, any TV series you've picked up recently, anything like that?
So gaming, I haven't been gaming in a while. Actually, I did download on my smartphone a Final Fantasy VI. So I've been going back in time. So Final Fantasy VI is probably my favorite Final Fantasy. So I mean, 7's amazing. Everybody loves Final Fantasy 7. But I think Final Fantasy VI is on par with it in terms of story and gameplay, plot. I think it was ahead of its time. So I've been playing around with that every now and then. Additionally, I want to play Chrono Trigger again. So I'm probably
yeah, it's a classic.
I love those 90s 2D games. They're just
Right.
it's something
Cities of
about
Mana, Chrono Cross, all those.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. There's just something about reading text, right? And then just I think it's versus you got the voice acting, you got these new Final Fantasies with the fancy video and
Yeah.
graphics. There's something about something so simple where you can really just imagine it in your head. It's a weird thing. I think the creative juices in my head are working more when I'm when I'm ingesting or when I'm consuming old media right now. That's why it's a nostalgia factor, but I do enjoy it a lot. In terms of TV shows, there's what was it? We watched Beef on Netflix.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, go watch that. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Beef was fantastic. And then actually my wife and we're actually really big into British TV, and we like
Okay.
we have a BritBox subscription, which is either you can do an Amazon add-on or you can get it as a standalone streaming service. But it's got shows like we've been really watching a show called Father Brown. It's about a Catholic priest who solves crime, and like it's ridiculous, right?
Okay.
It's like about a Catholic priest who likes to solve crimes in his local small town in the UK, right? And it's got the typical tropes, right? You got the cop, the inspector, right? Who's
Right.
why are you always interfering with my investigation? And he's really just butthurt because this priest who shouldn't have any business doing investigations is like just
Right. It's better than he is. Yeah.
yeah, and it's just a silly, it's a silly concept. It's just, but it's something different with British TV where it's not too serious, right? And it's not like it's hard to describe. Right? American television has a lot of these flashy, has a lot of these aspects of look at me, pop, right? Fancy music or the quick what's it when it's only the sound when it's doing that excited audio noise where it's just like a right?
Right.
A lot of American TV is like that. You watch any like crime show, it'll have something just over dramatized. Versus British TV, I think it's definitely more even keel when you watch it. It's just like very dry humor, and I think I enjoy that a lot. I think some of it's just better written, I mean, but that's just we really like British television. I think we just have a crime who done it, they call it, right? Who did it, right? Who did who performed the crime? We just love that type of TV.
That's awesome.
Those are my recent entertainment ventures.
That's awesome. So this episode is structured a little bit differently because I definitely wanted to get your kind of like a semi-interview, right? So people get to know who you are. So that way next week, it will go right into the regular rigmarole, the ebb and flow, and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna land the plane 3 minutes. I'm gonna run down my week in 3 minutes. And I'm gonna also end the episode, right? So I can hit those time constraints as well as get you into Oppenheimer, right?
Yeah.
I promise we'll be done at a certain time, and that's where we're gonna be at. So first off, so quick recap. First off, we are now mortal enemies because I also have an Apple One subscription, but I do not mess with their fitness because we're a Peloton family over here. We only rep Peloton things, all right? We got the tread, we got the bike, all right? That's what we do over here. Got the shirts, all right?
Right.
So now we are now no longer cool. But no, that's great that you're still in the fitness. I have not had the treadmill in a couple of weeks. I promised that on Monday I was going to start it up again. I run treadmill because my knees, back, and feet have seen better days, and the low impact is better for me. So I do not run outside if I can help it. Thing number 2, I did not get any gaming in this week because work has been kicking my butt. But I planned on next week, I'm going to put Zelda in. I'm going to play it. It's going to happen. All right. I'm going back to Tears of the Kingdom. That game is amazing.
Let's go.
I did get in a show. So I've been watching Zom 100, the anime. It's on Netflix. It starts off kind of regular anime trope, zombie type situation, but it's starting to change, right? It's talking more about less about the zombies and more about the other characters. And I talked about this with Shannon in the past. Like he did not like The Walking Dead, but it feels more like Walking Dead than it does a normal zombie anime. So I'll definitely suggest it's on Netflix. It's pretty cool. I like it. And then I'm starting up Foundation season 2. So Foundation is on Apple Plus. Season 1 was a little dry, it moved a little bit slow. However, season 2, it's about to go down. At least that's what they allude to in the trailers, right? So I'm going to start that one up. And I see Invasion's coming back. So Invasion, I did not like the first season. It was very slow. They would not show me the thing, and then when they finally did show me the creature, I was less than impressed. And oh, there was a movie. What movie did I watch? I watched Bird Box Barcelona. I got that in. So I watched the first Bird Box. It was on Netflix. It was a hit, right? Like everybody went crazy. Sandra Bullock, like crazy sci-fi horror. The second one feels the budget's a little bit smaller. The characters are all people I did not know before, but it progressed the world, right? It's world building. They're trying to turn it into a series. So I would suggest if you like the first Bird Box, watch this one, but don't expect Sandra Bullock like caliber, right? We want to continue the series, but we don't have Sandra Bullock money all the time. So if you support and you watch it, there might be another Bird Box in a different location, right? Because it's trying to show like the perspective from all over the world and kind of how we're trying to figure out like what is going on and how we can go back to normalcy. So, and if you like the torture, trope, like you see the thing and then you automatically off yourself, it had that in spades. So if that's your thing, you'll also like the series. But that's it. That's me for the week. So again, I greatly appreciate you come on the show. Chris, I'm going to have you on next week. Definitely for those who are listening, check out this. We have a full week for the next 2 weeks. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were our topics where we talked about the SEC's new rules. We talked about AI mirroring and the implications of it on people and on potential bad actors using it. We talked about the labor shortage. That is still 700,000 vacancies in the US alone in cybersecurity. And then on Thursday, I'm going to have Derron King Jr. on the show, and we'll talk to him about defense contracting and his business that he's starting up. So with that being said, definitely continue to tune in, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Go to the YouTube channel, please subscribe so we can plus up those numbers. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. So hit me up at RY Security Guys, RY Security Guy, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, Twitter, and Threads. And where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn, just Chris Abacon. So last name is spelled Abacon, so it's pretty easy to find. But definitely hit me up, send me a message. You want to talk shop or talk cybersecurity, I'm there.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.